Jan attempting a three-point shot, but is unsuccessful. And the ball is tipped off an Edinboro player, so it will be Johnstown's ball as they bring it back up. Smith, Nunn with the ball, bringing it over the half-court line for Pitt Johnstown once again. She's commanding her players to go in certain positions. She passed off to number 33, Olsey. Olsey over to Smith. Smith driving into the paint and under the baseline. Smith losing control of the ball, but 31 Moreland regaining control of it before passing it back out to Nunn, who comes just short of a baseline shot that was not a successful three, but was a successful two. Walton with the ball at the top of the arc, passing it off to Barnes, who's on the right-hand side of the court. Barnes passes the ball to Roston. Roston making a couple pump fakes before shooting a successful two-point shot in the paint. Nunn for Pitt Johnstown, bringing the ball over half court. The score sits 9 Edinboro, 6 Johnstown, with 6 minutes and 53 seconds left. 33 Olsey with the ball, going up in the paint and being fouled in the process. That foul will go to number 1, Bridget Schaefer for Edinboro, and Olsey will go to the line for 2. Olsey with her first attempt. It bounces off the front of the rim, off the backboard, and does not go in. Score is 9 Edinboro, 6 Pitt Johnstown, with 6 minutes and 50 seconds left in the first quarter. Olsey with her second attempt. And that one rolls off the rim and into the basket. Schaefer inbounded the ball to Walton. Walton now at the top of the arc for Edinboro. Walton holding the ball and waiting for her fellow teammates to make a move and get in position. The ball is now passed over to Sierra Roston, and Roston jumps and lays it up off the backboard and is good for 2. Smith for Johnstown, bringing the ball over half-court line. Dribbling over to the left-hand side, passes it over to Olsey. Olsey passes it back to Smith. Smith spinning and driving into the paint to make a layup, but it is not good, and she is fouled in the process. Foul will go on number 1, Bridget Schaefer again, which will be her second foul and her team's second foul. The score is 11 Borough, 7 Pitt Johnstown, with 6 minutes and 12 seconds left in this quarter. Smith's first free throw is successful. There's a substitution for Bridget Schaefer. Number 3, Abby Antolik. Oh, excuse me. Number 5, Andy Antolik. Antolik will be in for Bridget Schaefer. Walton now at the top of the arc with the ball, holding it and passing over to Barnes. Barnes, before passes it to Roston in the paint. Roston over to Antolik. Antolik over to Jan. Jan attempting a layup, but is blocked in the process. The ball is rebounded by number 30, Shannon, for Pitt Johnstown before passing over to Nunn. Nunn passes the ball to Moreland. Moreland back out to Nunn. Nunn holding the ball at the top of the court. Nunn over to number 13, McGrath. McGrath driving in, but then stopping for a jump shot to create some space, and it's unsuccessful. Jan with the ball on a breakaway. Passes the ball out to Barnes. Barnes over to Roston. Roston with a pump fake and an attempted shot, but is unsuccessful. Nunn bring the ball up for Johnstown once again. The score is 11 Edinboro, 9 Pitt Johnstown, with 5 minutes and 14 seconds left on the clock. 13 McGrath over to number 3 Smith. Smith holding the ball at the top of the paint, but before passing it back out to Nunn. Nunn over to 31 Moreland. Moreland passing the ball into the paint to number 13 before making an unsuccessful hook shot. Sierra Roston bringing the ball up for Edinboro, driving into the paint and passing out to Antolik. Antolik over to Barnes. Barnes driving into the paint and attempting to go up for a layup, but her shot is blocked. The ball goes out on number 30. The ball would go out on a Pitt Johnstown player, for number 31, Tori Moreland, and Edinboro will receive the ball under Pitt Johnstown's basket. We're going to go ahead and take a 30-second break as a timeout was called. This is WFSC 88.9 Fighting Scots Radio. Welcome back to Macomb Fieldhouse. For anybody just tuning in, we are covering the women's basketball game versus Pitt Johnstown. I'm Sid by Sid, bringing you all the play-by-play action alongside Erica Burkholder, who is bringing you some color commentary. Right now, Edinboro will be getting the ball back under Pitt Johnstown's net. Erica, what have you seen so far, like this far into the game?
I think that the Fighting Scots, we have a lot more energy than Pitt Johnstown. They're kind of sitting back more defensively and trying to wait the game out. And I don't know if that's the way to go with how our team's been playing lately, because they keep pushing that energy higher and higher.
All right, and Barnes now with the ball at the top of the arc, passing over to Jan on the left-hand side of the court. Jan driving into the paint with a layup and goes for a reverse layup and is successful. Nunn now bringing the ball up for Johnstown. Dribbling down onto the right-hand side before passing over to number 3, Smith. There was a foul on number 14, Abby Antolik. It's her first foul and her team's third foul. And Pitt Johnstown will get the ball back at the baseline under Edinboro's net. Nunn for Johnstown, passing the ball into 13. McGrath over to number 3. Smith, who goes up for an attempted shot but is fouled in the process. That foul will go to number 12, Macy Tarrant, which is her team's 4th and her first. Smith's first foul shot is successful, bringing the score 13-11 with 4 minutes and 15 seconds left in the first quarter. Smith with her second free throw, and that one is also good. Tarrant inbounding the ball to Walton. Walton now bringing the ball over half court. Walton passing the ball over to Antolik before handing it off to Barnes. Barnes dribbling the ball on the right-hand side of the court. Barnes now over to the left-hand side. At the top of the arc, now back out to Walton. Walton with the ball at the top of the arc, attempting to drive in, and the ball is bobbled out of her hands, but she is able to get control of it. Ball is passed over to Barnes. Barnes drives in but is unsuccessful in her layup. Michelle Yon with the rebound, passing over to Walton. Walton with an unsuccessful three-point shot as the shot clock had dwindled down. Number 23, Hartwick, brought the ball over half-court line for Johnstown. Now over to Nunn, who is in the paint with an attempted layup, and it is successful. The ball is stolen by number 23 for Hartwick from the Edinboro players as she full court pressed and stole the ball away from the inbound. Walton now with the rebound, dribbling over the half-court line. Barnes with the ball at the top of the arc. Barnes over to Walton. Walton with the ball and an attempted screen set by Abby Antolik. Barnes driving down in the paint before passing out to Jan. Jan with an attempted three, but it is no good. Number 13, McGrath, handing the ball off to Nunn after rebounding it. Nunn now bringing the ball over the half-court line and waiting for her team to settle. Nunn passes the ball back out to Shannon, and Shannon passing the ball over to number 13, McGrath. But McGrath ended up being fouled and was fouled by number 2, Michaela Barnes. That's her first and her team's 5th. That would now put Pitt Johnstown in the bonus with 2 minutes and 42 seconds left in the first quarter. McGrath's first foul shot is unsuccessful. The score remains tied with 2 minutes and 42 seconds left in the first quarter. Substitution was made. Roston will come in, and so will Lillian Young. The second free throw attempt is successful, and the ball is inbounded to Jonte Walton. Walton now with the ball at the top of the arc and passing over to Barnes. Barnes passing the ball over to Roston. Roston going up with an attempted layup, but the shot is unsuccessful. Nunn for Pitt Johnstown, bringing the ball over the half-court line and attempting to drive, but hesitating and passing the ball off to McGrath. McGrath passing the ball over to Oaksey. Oaksey on the left top corner of the paint, and the ball is almost intercepted by number 10, Lillian Young for Edinboro, but a tie-up ensues, and the possession will still remain with Pitt Johnstown. McGrath inbounding the ball over to Olksey. Olksey attempting to cut into the paint, but backing off and receiving a successful jump shot. Walton now bringing the ball over the half-court line. At the top of the arc, handing the ball off to Barnes. Barnes passing the ball out to Young. Young over to Roston. Roston driving into the paint before picking up the ball and passing out to Walton. Walton driving into the paint with an unsuccessful jump shot. None for Pitt Johnstown, bringing the ball over the half-court line and waiting for her team to settle. Passing over to number 23, Hartwick, for Pitt Johnstown. Hartwick with the ball on the right-hand side of the court and now bringing it over to the top of the arc. Hartwick holding the ball at the top of the arc, and an attempted pick is set by Olksey. The ball is passed off, and an attempted three-point shot is no good. Walton bringing the ball over the half-court line and driving down in the paint before passing back out to Barnes. Barnes going into the paint and is fouled in the process of her layup. She will go to the line for two. Number 33, Nicole Okowski, will receive her first foul, which is her team's second foul. Barnes is good for her first free throw. The score is 16 Johnstown, 14 Edinboro, with 1 minute and 6 seconds left in the first quarter. And Barnes is good for her second free throw. Nunn now bringing the ball once again over the half-court line for Pitt Johnstown and driving to the left-hand side of the court towards the baseline. Nunn with the ball towards the sideline and being driven towards the baseline again, but attempts to go for a shot and passes it off to number 30, Shannon. Shannon is unsuccessful in her shot, and the ball is rebounded by Walton. Walton passing the ball over to Roston, who is now in the paint and attempting a shot, but it is blocked by number 33, Olkowski. She did not get fouled. The ball went out of bounds, and Edinboro will now receive it in their possession again. Michaela Barnes on the baseline, dribbling under the basket, and it is good in her attempted layup. Nunn bringing the ball over the half-court line for Pitt Johnstown. The score sits 17 Edinboro, 16 Pitt Johnstown, with 20 seconds left in this first quarter. Nunn holding the ball at the top of the arc, passing over to McGrath. Number 33, Olkowski for Pitt Johnstown with a pick. McGrath shooting the shot parallel to the baseline and is successful for two. And the score will sit 18 Pitt Johnstown, 17 Edinboro going into the second quarter. And we're going to take a minute-long break with them. This is 88.9 WFSC Fighting Scots Radio. Welcome back to Macomb Fieldhouse. We are at the start of our second quarter for this women's basketball game against Pitt Johnstown. Jonte Walton now with the ball, passing out to Sierra Roston. Sierra Roston driving into the paint for a layup and is fouled in the process. She will go to the line for two, and number 33, Nicole Olkowski for Pitt Johnstown, will receive a foul. That is her first and her team's first for this quarter. Sierra Roston is successful in her first attempt. And she is successful in her second attempt as well. McGrath inbounding the ball to number 23, Hartwick. Hartwick bringing the ball across half-court line for Pitt Johnstown before passing it back to Olkowski. Olkowski with the ball on the left-hand side of the court. Back over to Hartwick. Hartwick with the ball and now picking it up on the right-hand side of the court. Passing over to number 3, Smith, before passing it and it bouncing off someone's foot. And Michaela Barnes grabbing the ball and taking it to Pitt Johnstown's half of the court. Jonte Walton with a successful three-point shot. Number 23, Hartwick with the ball at the top of the arc on Edinboro's half of the court for Pitt Johnstown. Over to number 31, Moreland, who passed over to McGrath, and the ball went out of bounds. It was tipped off an Edinboro player, and Pitt Johnstown will remain in possession of the ball under Edinboro's basket. Hartwick inbounding the ball, McGrath with it on the parallel to the baseline before passing over to number 3, Smith. Smith attempts a three-point shot but is unsuccessful and is rebounded by Lillian Young. Over to Jonte Walton, who drives into the paint and attempts a layup but passes it out to Michelle Yon, who passes it back out to Walton, who is parallel with the baseline. Number 23, Hartwick for Pitt Johnstown, bringing the ball over the half-court line. It is passed into number 3, Smith, before it is blocked and thrown out of bounds by Lillian Young. Pitt Johnstown will remain in possession of the ball. The score is 22 Edinboro, 18 Pitt Johnstown, with 8 minutes and 36 seconds left in the quarter. McGrath with the ball and an attempted layup, but it is no good. Roston with the rebound, who now bringing it over half-court line and down to the baseline. Roston passing the ball back out to Walton. Walton with an open three-point shot, but is unsuccessful in her efforts. Number 23, Hartwick, is bringing the ball over the half-court line for Pitt Johnstown. Hartwick holding the ball at the top of the arc before passing out to McGrath. McGrath with the ball at the three-point line and is successful in her efforts and will receive a good three-point shot. Young inbounding the ball to Walton. Walton bringing the ball over the half-court line for Edinboro. Walton passing the ball over to Roston, who is at the top of the arc. Roston over to Walton. Walton driving in and passing out to Young, who is parallel with the baseline. Young is good with her jump shot. McGrath inbounding for Hartwick. Hartwick bringing the ball over the half-court line. The score is 24 Edinboro, 21 Pitt Johnstown, with 7 minutes and 32 seconds left in the second quarter. Number 3, Smith with the ball on the baseline, attempting a layup. And a substitution is made for Sierra Roston, as Abby and Tolik will come in her place. Lillian Young inbounding to Walton. Walton bringing the ball over the half-court line. Walton receiving some pressure early up at near the half line, but before driving into the paint, she attempts a layup but is fouled in the process, and she will go to the line for 2. Pitt Johnstown's number 23, Alexis Hartwick, will receive her first foul, and it is her team's second foul for the quarter. The score is 24 Edinboro, 21 Pitt Johnstown, with 7 minutes and 13 seconds. Walton's first free throw attempt is unsuccessful as it bounces off the rim and onto the right-hand side of the court. Walton with her second free throw attempt. And the shot is good, bringing Edinboro to 25-21 with 7 minutes and 11 seconds left in this quarter. Hartwick bringing the ball over the half-court line and passing out to Moreland. Moreland passing the ball over to Smith, and Smith attempting a layup and is successful in her efforts. Walton bringing the ball over the half-court line, driving into the paint for a layup, and is successful. She used a little bit of physicality there to maneuver herself, and it worked out to her benefit. Number 23, Hartwick, again, bringing the ball over the half-court line for Pitt Johnstown. Hartwick with an attempted three-point shot, and she drains it. Lillian Young over to number 5, Jonte Walton, for Edinboro, as they inbound the ball and bring it over the half-court line. Walton on the right-hand side of the court, and there is a foul that has been called. Jonte Walton will receive an offensive foul. It is her first foul of this quarter and her team's third. Oh no, this is her. Excuse me, sorry, the board hasn't changed quite yet, so excuse me if I am wrong, and I'll update that later for everyone listening. The foul will actually go to number 14, Abby Antolik, and it'll be a team's first for this quarter. Hartwick with the ball for Pitt Johnstown. And it is unsuccessful. Attempting a layup, it is unsuccessful. She's fouled in the process, and she will go to the line for 2. Her first free throw is successful, tying the score once again for Edinboro and Pitt Johnstown with 6 minutes and 7 seconds left in this quarter. Pitt Johnstown is choosing not to fill their 2 defensive slots within this, their 2 offensive spots within this free throw shot, and so therefore Edinboro rebounded the ball easily. Barnes passing over to Tarrant, who has been substituted in. Tarrant passing the ball out to Jan, who is at the top of the arc. Jan driving down into the paint and attempting a layup, but a charging foul is called on Jan, and she will receive her first foul of the game and her team's 3rd for the quarter. There's some disagreement from the crowd. The Pitt Johnstown side saying it's a foul. Edinboro side obviously saying not. I think for me it just depends on what team you're on. None for Pitt Johnstown, bringing the ball over the half-court line before it's stolen away by Michelle Yan, going in for a layup, but is unsuccessful as she is fouled in the process and will go to the line for 2. The score remains tied with 5 minutes and 42 seconds left in this quarter, and both teams sit at 3 team fouls. The foul will go to number 1, Marina Nunn, who has received her first foul for the game and her team's 3rd. Jan is successful in her first foul shot and is going for her 2nd attempt. Jan is successful in her 2nd attempt as well. Nunn inbounding the ball to number 13, Hartwick. Hartwick passing the ball over, number 13, McGrath. McGrath passing the ball over to Hartwick. Hartwick bringing the ball down the right-hand side of the court before a foul is called. And the foul will be called on number 23, Alexis Hartwick, and I believe it was a charge, which is her 2nd foul of the game and her team's 4th foul for this quarter. Tarrant inbounding the ball to Barnes. Barnes bringing the ball over the half-court line and down onto the right-hand side of the court. Tarrant with the ball parallel to the baseline before passing back out to Roston. Roston to Monica Brown. Brown out to Barnes. And Barnes driving in for a layup, but the referees will call it as no good as she was fouled before she went in for the layup. And she will go to the line for 2. Her first foul shot is successful. The score is 30 Edinboro, 27 Pitt Johnstown, with 5 minutes and 15 seconds left in the 2nd quarter. Barnes attempting her 2nd free throw attempt. And it is good also, putting the score at 31 Edinboro, 27 Pitt Johnstown, with 5 minutes and 11 seconds left in this quarter. Nunn with the ball for Johnstown over to McGrath. McGrath holding the ball on the left-hand side of the court near the sidelines before passing back out to Nunn. Nunn over to 31 Moreland. Moreland over to 33 Olkowski. Olkowski over to Nunn. Nunn holding the ball as the shot clock is running out with 3 seconds down. She drives into the paint and is unsuccessful in her shot attempt. Edinboro will get the ball back, will inbound the ball, and there is a medium timeout has been called. We are going to take a 1-minute break alongside with them. This is 88.9 WFSC Fighting Scots Radio. Welcome back to the Macomb Fieldhouse for even more action from this women's basketball game. The score currently sits 31 Edinboro, 27 Pitt Johnstown, with 4 minutes and 44 seconds left in this quarter. Erica, what are you seeing here so far?
I mean, so far, I think that Johnstown has a little bit of trouble transitioning from defensive to offensive. They've had a little bit of an issue there, and I think that's where the Fighting Scots are excelling. And I think, honestly, the only issue for the Scots so far has been they're kind of letting McGrath get away with a lot. She's the Johnstown's second leading scorer, points per game, was 17.4, and I think you just have to watch her because she'll just appear out of nowhere and make you pay.
And I agree. And with that, Nunn is bringing the ball over the half-court line for Pitt Johnstown before passing it off to Smith, who drives and passes back out to Moreland, who attempts to shoot a three-point shot parallel to the baseline, but the shot ricochets off the side of the backboard, and it will become Edinboro's ball. Tarrant is going to be inbounding to Walton. Walton now bringing the ball over the half-court line and driving into the paint before passing out to Roston, who is at the top of the arc. Roston into Barnes. Barnes going up and getting strong, but unsuccessful in her layup before tipping it back and it going in the basket. Score now sits 33, Edinboro 27, Pitt Johnstown with 3 minutes and 55 seconds left on the clock. Moreland with the ball, passing out to Smith, who's at the top of the arc. Smith down into McGrath, who is wide open in the paint and stops for a quick jump shot in which she is successful. Jan passing the ball in to Walton. Walton bringing the ball over the half-court line. Walton now holding the ball and driving in with Sierra Roston attempting to set a pick before passing out to Jan on the left-hand side of the court. Jan attempting a three-point shot on the baseline but is unsuccessful and bounces out of the basket. Number 32, Oderson for Pitt Johnstown attempts to bring the ball over half-court line, but the pass is intercepted by Michelle Jan, who catches the ball on a breakaway and is unsuccessful in her layup attempt, but is fouled in the process, so she will go to the line for two. Number 32, Mia Oderson, receiving her first foul of the game and her team's fifth. Jan's first free throw attempt is unsuccessful. Her second attempt is successful. The score will now be 34 Fighting Scots, 29 Panthers, with 3 minutes and 5 seconds left in the quarter. 32, Oderson bringing the ball over the half-court line, passing out to Moreland. Moreland over to Smith. Smith at the top of the arc, now driving into the paint before being met by Sierra Roston, but she is just able to outmatch her and gets the ball in the basket in a layup. Walton now bringing the ball over to the top of the arc. Sierra Roston now with the ball, pump faking before going in and passing the ball out to Barnes. Barnes passing the ball out to Walton. Walton attempting a three-point shot, but it bounces off the rim and is no good because it falls just short. Barnes with the ball at the top of the arc, attempting to drive in and create some space, but is unsuccessful and passes the ball over to Walton. Walton passes the ball to Roston. It is tipped, but tipped back to her by her fellow teammate, Jan, who passes back out to Barnes with an attempted layup, but the layup is unsuccessful. Oderson with the ball again at the top of the arc for Pitt Johnstown, holding the ball and attempting to drive past Jonte Walton for Edinboro. Oderson now attempting to pass the ball over to her fellow teammate Moreland, but it is stopped by Jonte Walton, who brings the ball down on the breakaway for a nice jump shot, and now the score sits 36 Fighting Scots, 31 Panthers, with 1 minute and 43 seconds left in this quarter. Paul's now pass back, 31 Moreland. Moreland on the sideline, who passes back out to Oderson. Oderson passing into Smith, who is in the paint, but a travel will be called on Smith before she can go any further, and the ball will go back into Edinboro's possession. Tarrant now inbounding the ball for Walton. Walton bringing the ball over the half-court line, who passes over to Barnes, who is at the left-hand side of the arc. Barnes now at the top of the arc, passing over to Walton. Walton passing to Roston, who is at the baseline in the paint, but is unsuccessful in her layup attempt as she is bumped a little bit and the ball will not go in. Oderson now bringing the ball over half-court line for Pitt Johnstown and passing out to Moreland passing the ball over to McGrath. But McGrath will not get a chance to pass that ball as a teammate is fouled, and the ball will remain in their possession. The foul will go on number 15, Sierra Austin from Edinboro. That's her first, and the team's fourth foul for this quarter. Oderson inbounding the ball for Johnstown before passing out to McGrath. McGrath sinking a good two-point shot as she falls just short of the three-point line. Walton now with the ball for Edinboro, bringing it over the line. Roston with a pick, who gets the ball back after Walton passes it out to her. And Roston is good for the three-point shot at the top of the arc. Oderson with the ball now for Johnstown, attempting to bring it over the half-court line, but being met by some heavy defensive moves from Walton. Walton now tipping the ball over to Barnes. Barnes catching the ball in a breakaway and is successful in her layup. The score sits 41 Borough, 33 Panthers, with 14 seconds left in this quarter. 32 Oderson attempting to bring the ball over the half-court line, passing over to McGrath. Number 3, Smith, met by 4 Edinboro players, and the ball is stolen yet again by an Edinboro player, but is tipped out by McGrath as she just couldn't escape the close tailing of McGrath, as Walton couldn't escape the close tailing of McGrath. Because it was tipped out by McGrath, Edinboro will get the ball back on the left-hand sideline on Johnstown's side of the court. Walton inbounding the ball for Edinboro with 0.3 seconds left in the quarter. Roston attempting a quick layup as the ball makes it her way, but is just unable to before the shot clock sounds. The score sits 41 Edinboro, 33 Pitt Johnstown at the start of the half. At the end of this half. Erica, what have you seen so far in the game?
I think if you're an Edinboro athlete, sorry guys, if you're playing for Edinboro here, I think you're pretty happy with yourself. There's a little bit of struggle there, but we seem to have rebounded pretty well. Where the energy's there, the passing's there, the stealing's there. We seem to be up on the up and up, and Johnstown's just struggling a little bit to keep up with the energy Edinboro has. Edinboro's definitely taking control of the game and demanding how it will be played, especially defensively, really dictating how Pitt Johnstown offensive game is being played. And with that, we're going to take a 15-minute break. Nathan Brennan is on the board giving you all his best taste of music. This is WFSC 88.9 Fighting Scots Radio.
Please support AOSF by making a donation today.
You can visit AlexLemonade.org to learn more.
So you don't have to miss even a minute. It's the Fighting Scots in action on the Edinboro Sports Network. On the radio at 88.9 WFSC and online at EdinboroNow.com. Video of many home games is also featured on ETV. This game broadcast is underwritten in part by John's Wildwood Pizzeria, open every day at 105 Erie Street in downtown Edinboro. For eat-in, delivery, or take-out, John's menu includes pizza, hoagies, calzones, wings, salads, and more. Information is at 814-734-7355 or on the web at johnswildwoodpizza.com.
Welcome back to Macomb Fieldhouse for the start of the second half of this women's basketball game against Pitt Johnstown. As we are on way, Pitt Johnstown currently has the ball, and a jump ball was called as a tie-up occurred between Nicole Okoski for Pitt Johnstown and Bridget Schaefer for Edinboro, but it will remain in Edinboro's possession. Passing the ball over to Barnes. Barnes over to Walton. Walton at the top of the arc. Over to Jan. Jan passing back out to Rosson with the ball at the top of the arc, who stops for a jump shot but is unsuccessful in the process. None for Pitt Johnstown with the ball over the half-court line. And now number 33, Okoski with the ball, passing over to a wide-open number 3, Gabrielle Smith, who is good with the layup. The score is 41 Edinboro, 35 Pitt Johnstown with 8 minutes and 51 seconds left in the quarter. Walton for Edinboro at the top of the arc, passing over to the left-hand side of the court to Barnes. Barnes over to Roston, who is down in the paint, who attempts a layup, but the ball rolls off the side of the backboard. And while it was tipped off a Pitt Johnstown player in the process, it will be Edinboro's ball. The ball is inbounded to number 1, Bridget Schaefer, who goes in for a layup and is very successful, giving her 2 points for Edinboro. Nunn with the ball for Pitt Johnstown, who passes over to 31, Moreland. Moreland with the ball on the right-hand side of the court. Moreland over to 33, Olkowski, who passes it back over to Moreland, who cuts into the paint and is good for a layup. Walton with the ball now at the top of the arc for Edinboro. Walton sitting at the top of the arc, directing her fellow teammates where to go. And a foul was called. The foul was called on number 1 for Pitt Johnstown, Marina Nunn, and that is her 3rd foul of the game and her team's first for this quarter. Walton inbounding the ball for Edinboro, passing it over Roston. Roston attempting to drive into the paint and is unsuccessful in her layup. And the ball is rebounded by 33, Olkowski. Olkowski handing the ball off to Hartwick. Hartwick now bringing the ball slowly over the half-court line. The ball is passed to number 3, Smith, Roston attempts to intercept but is unsuccessful, and the ball will remain in Pitt Johnstown's possession. Over to Hartwick, over to Smith, who passes over to Olkowski, who is unsuccessful in her baseline parallel shot, but is rebounded by Olkowski once again as it bounces off the rim. McGrath with the ball, going parallel to the baseline, passing it over to Smith. Smith attempting a layup, but it is blocked by Roston, and now who now attempts another layup and is successful this time. Walton bringing the ball over the half-court line for Edinboro. Drilling on the left-hand side of the court, over to Roston, who's at the top, who's at the key, who attempts to pass it over to Barnes, but Barnes is fouled in the process, and Edinboro will remain in possession of the ball. However, they will be inbounding from underneath Johnstown's net. Roston now with the ball after it was inbounded, who passes out to Walton. Walton with an unsuccessful 3-point shot. And the ball now remains in Pitt Johnstown's possession. Hartwick with the ball, attempting to drive into the paint, but Walton knocking the ball out of her hands and dribbling out of bounds, so Pitt Johnstown will remain in possession of the ball under the baseline of Edinboro's basket. Hartwick passes into Smith. Smith with an attempted jump shot, but the ball is stolen away by Walton. Walton settling with the ball and bringing it over half-court line, but passing deep into the left-hand baseline corner to Schaefer. Schaefer with an unsuccessful 3-point shot. Roston passing over, attempting to play over to Schaefer. Schaefer out to Jan. Jan with an attempted 3-point shot, but is unsuccessful. McGrath with the ball over the half-court line for Johnstown, passing over to Hartwick. Hartwick over to McGrath again. McGrath holding the ball at the top of the arc, now passing over. It's 31, Moreland. Moreland out to Smith. Smith standing with the ball, and it is stolen away by a teamwork effort of Roston and Walton. Walton now dribbling the ball down, and a jump shot that is successful from the top left corner of the paint. The score is 45 Edinboro, 39 Pitt Johnstown, with 5 minutes and 44 seconds left in the quarter. Hartwick for Johnstown, driving into the paint for a layup, attempting to go up, but the ball goes over. The ball bounces off the bottom of the backboard, and number 1, Bridget Schaefer for Edinboro, will receive a block and her 3rd team foul. Hartwick for Pitt Johnstown will go to the line. First free throw attempt goes into the basket, but bounces off and pops back out. Score is 45 Edinboro, 39 Pitt Johnstown, with 5 minutes and 35 seconds left in the half.
Just a quick little thing from the stats from the first half for Pitt Johnstown, McGrath played the entire time, and she scored 15 points and had 3 rebounds. For Edinboro, Roston played 17 minutes and had 14 points. Barnes played the entire game, the entire first half, and got 10 points. And then Walton also had 10 points with 19 minutes in the first half.
Hartwick's second free throw attempt was successful, and Edinboro now has the ball on Pitt Johnstown's half of the court. The ball was now rebounded after an unsuccessful shot by Michaela Barnes by number 23 Hartwick again. And she was fouled in the process of her attempted breakaway layup and will go to the line for 2. The score is now 45 Edinboro, 40 Pitt Johnstown with 5 minutes and 10 seconds left in the quarter. Hartwick drains her first free throw attempt. Both teams with 2 fouls thus far in the quarter. Hartwick with her second free throw attempt, and it is successful as well. Schaefer inbounding to Walton. Walton bringing the ball over the half-court line and passing over to Barnes. Barnes over to Walton. Walton on the right-hand side of the court passes back out to Schaefer at the top of the arc. Schaefer's three-point shot is good, putting the score 48 Edinboro, 42 Pitt Johnstown with 4 minutes and 48 seconds left in this quarter. Smith with the ball for Johnstown, passing over to number 23 Hartwick, who accidentally kicks the ball out of bounds after a bad pass. And we have a medium timeout, and so we're going to take a timeout with them. This is WFSE 88.9 Fighting Scots Radio. Welcome back to Macomb Fieldhouse. I'm Sid, giving you all the play-by-play action for tonight's basketball games. Alongside me is Erica Burkholder for color commentary on this women's game, but later Keyshawn will join me for color on the men's game. Erica, what do you think? What are you seeing this far in the game? How do you think the playing styles are clashing with each other? Do you see a more dominant team? What's your thoughts?
I mean, I think Edinboro is clearly the more dominant team right now, even though the score is a little bit closer than I think they'd like. They've been playing a strong, aggressive, energetic game this entire time, and Pitt Johnstown's just been kind of trying to change it up and to adjust to it, and it's just not really working. They're not adjusting well to our playing style.
Edinboro will have possession of the ball coming out of this timeout. Schaefer inbounding to Walton. Walton now bringing the ball over the half-court line. On to the right-hand side of the court, passing out back to Antolik, who is at the top of the key. Over to Schaefer. Schaefer out to Barnes at the top of the arc. Barnes with an attempted three-point shot, and she drains it. 33 Olkowski for Pitt Johnstown, passing over 23 Hartwick. Olkowski with the ball again on the right-hand side of the court. Olkowski passing out to Smith. Smith to Hartwick. Hartwick on the left-hand side of the arc. An attempted pick set by number 3, Smith. Jonte Walton stealing a pass on a breakaway, but bobbling the ball a bit so she can't go in for the layup. Walton now settling and returning to the top of the arc. 23 attempting to steal away the ball for Pitt Johnstown, but is unsuccessful. Walton passes the ball over to Antolik. Antolik over to Barnes. Barnes taking the ball and driving into the paint before spinning and passing back out to Michelle Yon. Yon out to Antolik. Antolik driving into the paint and is unsuccessful with her layup as it misses the backboard. Hartwick bringing the ball over half court for Pitt Johnstown and settling right outside of the big E at the center of the court. Olkowski with the ball now for Johnstown before passing into Smith, who attempts to go in for a layup, and it is no good, but she's fouled in the process by from Edinboro by number 14, Abby Antolik, with her third foul for the day and puts her team at 3 fouls. Smith again at the line for Pitt Johnstown. First free throw attempt is good. Puts the score at 51 Edinboro, 41 Pitt Johnstown with 3 minutes and 26 seconds left in the quarter. Smith attempting her second free throw attempt. And she is successful in her efforts. Walton bringing the ball back over half-court line for Edinboro on the right-hand side. Holding the ball and passing to Roston at the top of the arc. Roston with a good look over to Barnes, who attempts a layup, but it just rolls off the rim. And Hartwick with the ball for Johnstown again. Hartwick being met by some defense by Walton, but Walton going in a bit too strong, and she will receive her first foul of the half. This puts her team, puts Edinboro with 4 fouls and Pitt Johnstown with 2 overall team fouls. The score is 51 Edinboro, 44 Pitt Johnstown with 3 minutes and 4 seconds left in the half. Nunn with the ball for Pitt Johnstown, passing back out to Hartwick. Hartwick over to number 30, Shannon. Passes over to number 31, Moreland, who receives 2 points for her jump shot. Barnes with the ball for Edinboro under Pitt Johnstown side of the court, driving into the paint for a layup and being met with a foul, so she will go to the line with 2. Barnes at the line for 2 now. The score sits 51 Edinboro, 46 Pitt Johnstown with 2 minutes and 43 seconds left in the quarter. Barnes' first free throw attempt is successful. Some substitutions coming in for Edinboro. Schaefer will go out, and Lillian Young will come in. Jan will come out, and number 3, Monica Brown, will come in in her place. Barnes with her second free throw attempt. And it bounces just off the front of the rim. It is no good. Hartwick with the ball for Pitt Johnstown. Passes over to Nunn before crossing over the half-point line. Nunn passing over to Moreland. Moreland over to Shannon. Shannon out to Hartwick. Hartwick attempting to pass the ball to number 31, Tori Moreland, but Michaela Barnes comes in and the ball is tipped off of her, and Pitt Johnstown will receive possession of the ball. There's some confusion on the court on who is inbounding for Pitt Johnstown, but Nunn will end up rebounding. The ball is inbounded to Gabrielle Smith, but she is met by 3 Edinboro defenders, and the ball is taken away, but as called as a jump. Monica Brown goes out, and Jan substitutes in for her. Nunn for Pitt Johnstown, inbounding the ball over to Hartwick. Hartwick attempting a 3-point shot, but is no good. Roston with the rebound, who passes to Barn, who takes it over the half-court line. Tripping in her process, Barnes passes the ball back out to Walton. Walton over to Roston. Roston attempting to make a 3-point shot, and the rebound is unsuccessful by any Edinboro or Pitt Johnstown player as the ball goes out of bounds. Pitt Johnstown will have possession, however, and the ball will be inbounded from Hartwick to Nunn. The score is 52 Edinboro, 46 Pitt Johnstown, with 1 minute and 58 seconds left in this quarter. Nunn driving into the paint after passing the ball out to Moreland. Moreland over to Smith. Smith over to number 23 for Pitt Johnstown, Hartwick, who is good with a jump shot. Jonte Walton driving down the paint and stopping for a jump shot just inside the 3-point line and is successful. The score is 54 Fighting Scots, 48 Panthers, with 1 minute and 26 seconds left in this quarter. Nunn with the ball for Pitt Johnstown, holding it at the top of the arc. Over to Hartwick, who is on the left-hand side of the court. Out to Smith. Smith driving into the paint, but being met by 2 Edinboro defenders who tip it out of bounds, so Pitt Johnstown will remain in possession of the ball and inbound it from the baseline underneath Edinboro's basket. 2 substitutions being made. Schaefer will come in for Young, and McGrath will come in for Moreland for Pitt Johnstown. Nunn with the ball, attempting to inbound it, but not receiving any Pitt Johnstown players until McGrath comes along, but is met by 2 Edinboro defenders. Hartwick with the ball at the top of the arc, attempting to drive into the paint for a layup, and is successful in a long shot layup as Edinboro is now bringing the ball over the half-court line. Walton with the ball on the right-hand side of the court, over to Roston at the top of the arc. Roston driving in and stopping for a layup and is successful. Smith into Nunn. Nunn bringing the ball over the half-court line. Score is 56 Edinboro, 50 Pitt Johnstown, with 34 seconds left in this quarter. Hartwick with the ball over to McGrath. McGrath over to Nunn. Nunn over to Smith. Smith at the top of the arc for Pitt Johnstown. Smith met by 2 Edinboro defenders, who passes it out quickly to McGrath. McGrath passing over to Smith. Smith attempting a spin move and a hook shot, and is successful in her shot, but before that, referees called a foul on her, so the shot is no good, and the score remains the same. Schaefer inbounding the ball to Barnes. Barnes dribbling the ball over the court with 13 seconds left in this quarter. Passing out to Walton. Walton holding the ball. Walton attempting to drive into the paint, stopping for a jump shot, and she drains it. Hartwick into number 30, Shannon, and then the buzzer was called, so with a failed attempt, baseball kind of throw towards the basket, she's unsuccessful. We're going to take a minute-long break as they stop and transition into the fourth quarter. This is WFSE 88.9 Fighting Scots Radio.
Or at EdinboroTV.org.
Hello and welcome back for the final quarter of this women's game. The ball was just inbounded from Michelle Yon to Michaela Barnes for Edinboro. Barnes passing over to Roston. Roston at the top of the key, passing over to Barnes, who is deep in the paint. Attempts a layup, but is unsuccessful. Number 23, Hartwick for Pitt Johnstown with the ball. Hartwick over to number 31, Moreland. Moreland driving across the paint and out to McGrath. McGrath passing the ball all the way back out to Hartwick. Hartwick passing the ball over to Graff. McGrath passing the ball over to Shannon. Shannon up, over, and passing to Moreland. Moreland with a quick look and a good layup. And the score now sits 58 Edinboro, 52 Pitt Johnstown, with 9 minutes and 13 seconds left in the quarter. Barnes with the ball, now over to Monica Brown. Monica Brown attempting to pass Sierra Rosson, but bouncing it off her foot. And Hartwick will receive control of the ball now. Hartwick passing over to number 31, Moreland. Moreland with an attempted shot, but it bounces off the rim and is no good. Jan now bringing the ball up for Edinboro. Any timeout is called, and we're going to take a 30-second timeout with them. This is WFSE 88.9 Fighting Scots Radio. Welcome back to Macomb Fieldhouse. I'm Sid Dundon bringing you all the play-by-play action on this women's basketball game against Pitt Johnstown. Alongside me is Erica Burkholder bringing me all the color commentary. Erica, I remember you saying before we were coming back in the half something about the team sizes. Can you give us a little bit more light on that subject?
Yeah, as you know, as anyone that's listening has heard me say, Pitt Johnstown isn't adjusting well to the different playing styles that Edinboro can provide. And I think part of that issue is that they don't have their entire roster here. They're missing about 5 girls. I can't quite pick out all of them because some of them haven't come into play. But yeah, Pitt Johnstown's missing a decent chunk of their team. And depending on how much time those players have played, that might be affecting their game.
And I completely agree. Jan for Edinboro inbounding the ball to Barnes. Barnes with the ball, passing back over to Jan, who's on the right-hand side of the court. Jan passing over to Schaefer. Schaefer out to Barnes, who's on the left-hand side of the court. Barnes over to Walton. Walton with an attempted three-point shot, but it is unsuccessful. Hartwick for Pitt Johnstown bringing the ball over the half-court line. Hartwick passing out to Okoski. Okoski over to McGrath. McGrath over to Hartwick. Hartwick with an attempted three-point shot, but is no good, and rebounded by Walton. Walton taking the ball over the half-court line as a pick is set by Sierra Roston. Sierra Roston passing the ball back out to Walton. Walton's three-point shot falling a bit flat and bouncing off the front of the rim. Hartwick bringing the ball up and down towards the right bottom corner of the court on Edinboro's side. She's heavily defended by Michaela Barnes as she picked up the ball, but managed to get it back out to Olkowski. Olkowski passes back out to Hartwick. Hartwick over to McGrath. McGrath on the right-hand side of the court, dribbling and now passing over to Olkowski. Olkowski attempting to drive across the paint, losing control of the ball a bit. And McGrath getting the ball back out to McGrath, and McGrath will be fouled in her attempted jump shot just as the buzzer rings for the shot clock. The score is 58 Fighting Scots, 52 Pitt Panthers, with 7 minutes and 41 seconds left in this quarter, excuse me.
Something I've noticed, I think Pitt Johnstown adjusted to defending Sierra Roston, which is all nice and good for them, except that we still have Michaela Barnes and Jonte Walton out there who are scoring just as many baskets.
I agree. McGrath is successful in both of her free-point shots, and the ball gets tipped up from Walton as she brings it across half-court line, and Pitt Johnstown remains in possession of it again. The ball is knocked over half-court line, and as a Pitt Johnstown player picks it up, she receives a foul, and the ball will change possession over to Edinboro for going back over the half-court line. The ball is passed over from Jan, inbounds to Barnes. Barnes over to Roston. Roston with the ball now and passing out to Schaefer. Schaefer with an attempted three-point shot, but is a bit too strong and hits the backboard and is rebounded by Pitt Johnstown. Pitt Johnstown over to number 3, Smith for Pitt Johnstown. McGrath now with the ball at the top corner. And number 31, Moreland, going in for a shot and sinking it, but is fouled in the process. Number 5, Jonte Walton, receiving her second foul for the half and her team's second foul for the half as well. Moreland with her extra point is unsuccessful and is rebounded by an Edinboro player, Jonte Walton. Walton with the ball on the left-hand side of the court, driving, but before passing back out to Roston. Roston at the top of the arc, as per usual, passing out to Walton. Walton now driving the ball into the paint before passing out to Roston. Roston out to Walton. Walton falling a bit short in her three-point shot. And Roston attempting to rebound it, but the ball being stolen away by number 23, Hartwick, for Pitt Johnstown. As they called a jump ball for that, the possession will remain in Pitt Johnstown's hands, and Hartwick will now be bringing the ball over the half-court line. Hartwick with the ball over the half-court line, being guarded by Walton. Hartwick attempting to go into the paint, but being met by McGrath. McGrath with the ball, attempting to drive in before passing out to Moreland. Moreland on the baseline, making a baseline three-point shot, bringing the score 59 Johnstown, 58 Edinboro, and the lead will change with 6 minutes left in this quarter. Jan with the ball, driving around the entire box before falling and being fouled. A technical was given, and 2 fouls will be awarded to 2 different teams at this point in time. Number 3, Gabrielle Smith with her second foul. Score is 59 Pitt Johnstown, 58 Edinboro. And there's some disagreement in the crowd from this. So as they take a timeout, we're going to take a 30-second break as the refs deliberate. This is WFSC 88.9 Fighting Scots Radio. Back at Macomb Fieldhouse, they have just announced that number 13, McGrath, will be receiving the technical foul from Pitt Johnstown side, and Michaela Barnes will be going to the line to shoot 2. She sinks her first three-point shot, tying the score for both teams with 6 minutes and 1 second left on the shot clock for this quarter. Barnes is successful in her second attempt, pulling her team 1 point over the deficit that had been created. And we still have 6 minutes and 1 second left on the clock. Edinboro now inbounding the ball underneath Pitt Johnstown's basket. Roston grabbing the ball, jumping, and unsuccessful in her layup. The ball is bobbled 2 or 3 times as Edinboro players desperately try and put it back into the basket. And from Pitt Johnstown, number 33, Olkowski, will be receiving a foul, and Roston will go to the line for 2. That is Olkowski's third foul for the game and making it their team's third foul for the half. Roston's first free throw is successful, putting the score at 61 Edinboro, 59 Pitt Johnstown. Her second free throw is also successful, 62 Borough, 59 Pitt Johnstown, with 5 minutes and 53 seconds left in this quarter. Number 23, Hartwick, bringing the ball up for Johnstown. Over to Smith. Smith out to Moreland. Moreland with the ball at the top of the arc, passing over to McGrath on the right corner of the paint, and passing out to Smith. Smith attempting to go in for a layup, but is unsuccessful. Roston with the rebound, bringing the ball over half court. Roston attempting a layup is unsuccessful, a bit too strong, and the ball is rebounded by Smith for Pitt Johnstown. Hartwick with the ball over the half court line. Hartwick out to Moreland. Moreland near the baseline, passing it over to Olkowski. Olkowski attempting to get a shot off in the paint and is fouled in the process. Number 2 for Edinboro. Number 20 for Edinboro. Michelle Yan will receive a foul. That is her second foul of the game. The team's 4th for the quarter. And Pitt Johnstown will remain possession of the ball, but inbound it from the baseline. Olkowski with the ball, back over to Hartwick. Hartwick with the ball, circling the arc and settling at the top. Over to Moreland. Moreland with the ball. Moreland out to Smith. Smith on the top right of the arc. Smith with a good look to number 33, Olkowski, who is wide open for a nice little layup in the paint. The score is 62, Borough 61, Pitt Johnstown with 4 minutes and 44 seconds left in the quarter. Walton with the ball at the top of the arc. Walton driving into the paint all by herself for a good look, but is unsuccessful in her layup. Ball is rebounded by McGrath. McGrath passes out to Hartwick. Hartwick is met by 3 defenders, so she chooses not to go in for the layup, but instead settle and have her team set up a play. Hartwick passing the ball to Smith. Smith quickly handing it right back to Hartwick. Hartwick attempting a 3-point shot, but is no good and is rebounded by Sierra Roston. Roston passed out to Walton. Walton now over the half-court line with the ball on the right-hand side of the court. Roston at the top of the arc once again with the ball, holding, waiting for her teammates to make a move. Roston driving into the paint before picking up the ball and having to pass it back out. Barnes passing over to Lillian Young. Lillian Young attempting a 3-point shot, but it falls a bit flat and is met by a rebounder from Pitt Johnstown. Hartwick with the ball now over to Olkowski. Olkowski over to number 3, Smith. Smith driving into the paint, but is met by Edinboro defenders and blocked. Smith throwing the ball back out. Number 31, Moreland. Moreland then passing over to number 31, McGrath. And the ball is now passed over to Smith. Pitt Johnstown is shaking their heads as a foul is called on number 3. An offensive foul is called on number 3, Gabrielle Smith, and this is her 3rd for the game. A timeout is being called, and we're going to go ahead and take a break with them. This is WFSC 88.9 Fighting Scots Radio. Welcome back to Macomb Fieldhouse for this exciting women's basketball game against Pitt Johnstown. The score currently sits 62 Fighting Scots, 61 Pitt Panthers. We are 1 point away from a making or breaking this game for Edinboro, and there are 3 minutes and 25 seconds left in this quarter. Erica, I know you mentioned earlier that the size of the teams and possibly substitutions being able to factor in, Pitt Johnstown only having 9, whereas Edinboro is sitting around 15, that's the number of teammates they've brought to this game. Do you think exhaustion is setting in for Pitt Johnstown, or what?
I mean, I think part of it's exhaustion. I think also part of it's desperation. Pitt Johnstown hasn't won a game against Edinboro in 12 games. And with it being as close as 1 point, there's exhaustion setting in and desperation. And that desperation is what's leading to the fouls on both sides.
All right, and Jonte Walton with the ball at the top of the arc, driving into the paint, looking for a layup, and is successful in her efforts. Ball is now with Alexis Hartwick, bringing it over the line for Pitt Johnstown. Before Jonte Walton attempting to steal the ball away, accidentally kicks it, and Pitt Johnstown will now inbound the ball from the right-hand sidelines. Number 13, McGrath with the ball, passing, inbounding to Hartwick for Pitt Johnstown. Hartwick with the ball on the left-hand side of the court. McGrath with the ball on the right top corner of the paint, passing into Moreland. Moreland desperately trying to go into layup and receiving her second and one for the game. but there seems to be some discrepancy between the crowd. Pitt Johnstown crying for another and one, but Edinboro's side calling for a travel. Roston currently consulting with the referees to figure out what happened, and now going back. Moreland will go for her second shot, and she is good. The score now sits 64-64, tied up with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. Walton now bringing the ball over the half-court line, driving down into the paint with an attempted layup, and is successful. She got big, she got strong, and she got money. Hartwick for McGrath with the ball over to Smith. Smith in the paint and successful in a layup. The score now sits 66-66 with 2 minutes and 9 seconds left. Walton with the ball, passing over to Roston at the top of the arc. Roston at the top of the arc driving into the paint, met by two defenders, but still attempting her shot anyway. It's a bit heavy and bounces off the front. She was fouled in the process and will receive two. Currently, we are waiting for, and she will not go to the line for two. Excuse me, I was incorrect in what I had seen there. There was an offensive foul, and Moreland will now go to the line for Pitt Johnstown with two. Edinboro is at 5 team fouls, so Pitt Johnstown is in the bonus at a very crucial part in this game right now. Score's tied up. And Moreland is unsuccessful in her first free throw, so the score will remain tied with 1 minute and 55 seconds left as she attempts her second shot. Moreland is unsuccessful in her second shot as well. The score remains tied. Walton with the ball on the left-hand side, attempting to drive in, spinning to create some space before passing back out to Barnes. Barnes with the ball over to Schaefer. Schaefer dropping the ball into Roston. Roston out to Walton. Walton out to Jan. Jan with an unsuccessful three. And McGrath is tipped out as her and Michelle Jan come into some contact on the baseline. And you can hear the different sides of the crowd clashing. Jan inbounding to Walton before tipping it off out of bounds, and Pitt Johnstown will now have possession of this ball. I can tell you as I'm viewing this game right now, there's a lot of tension and a lot of excitement into this room, and I think there's a good chance that we might go into overtime with this game. Hartwick with the ball over the half-court line for Pitt Johnstown. Over to Smith on the right-hand side of the court. Smith holding the ball at the top of the arc, waiting for someone to pass it off to make a play. Hartwick driving into the paint and going up, but is successful in her layup. It looked like it was just about to go out, and it dropped back in. That leaves Edinboro down by 2 with 1 minute and 5 seconds left in this quarter. Roston with the ball at the top of the arc, passing over to Barnes. Barnes attempting to drive into the paint to create some space, and she sinks a layup despite 3 defenders who are good 2 or 3 inches taller than her. She got up and she got that basket. Hartwick now coming over the half-court line with 45 seconds left. Obviously a lot of pressure in this game. The ball is passed over to Smith, and as both Roston and Walton attempt to intercept it, a foul is called. The foul will go to number 5, Jonte Walton for Edinboro, and that's her 3rd foul, sending Smith to the line at this crucial part of the game. Smith sinks her first free throw, creating a deficit for Edinboro by 1 point. And she is attempting to go into her second free throw. There are 40 seconds left in the game, and she sinks her second free throw. A timeout is called by the Edinboro women's coach, and we're going to go ahead and take a medium timeout alongside with them. Actually, I believe a 30-second timeout was called, so we're going to go ahead and take that with them. WFSC 88.9 Fighting Scots Radio. Welcome back to Macomb Fieldhouse for what I think will be a very exciting finish to this women's basketball game. We have 40 seconds left, and it is 70 Pitt Johnstown, 68 Edinboro. Walton just now inbounding the ball for Edinboro over to Barnes. Barnes attempting to go up with a layup, but creating a charge and the excitement on the Pitt Johnstown players as they know that their teammate, as they will receive possession of the ball. A substitution is being created. Lillian Young will come in for Bridget Schaefer. And a 30-second timeout has been called by Edinboro. I'd like to take this time to really talk about that the pressure is on. Erica had mentioned earlier that Pitt Johnstown has not won a game in 12 games. You said they're currently on a losing streak as well. What do you think, like, this lends to the last 37 seconds of this game? Where do you see it going?
I think that depends. I think it's going to depend on what team breaks first and gets that other foul, because this has come down to a don't foul the other team, and unfortunately Borough keeps fouling Pitt Johnstown when it is too close to be playing a little bit recklessly like they are. I think if Borough simmers down, takes this next 37 seconds the way they have been the rest of the game, we should be fine. But like I said, like you said, it's just hectic here. The crowd is, and there's a lot of pressure.
All right, and McGrath inbounding the ball for Johnstown. Hartwick with the ball at the top of the arc, settling, waiting for her teammates to make a play. Jan attempting to steal the ball away, but fouling in the process as she tries to steal the ball from McGrath, and McGrath will go to the free throw line at this crucial part in the game. And definitely, just as Erica had just said, we do not want to be fouling here. And Jan just is opening the door for these fouls to occur and points to happen. Luckily, the first shot does not go in. Luckily for Edinboro, the first shot does not go in. Johnstown still leads by 2 points, but with 30 seconds left, anything can happen with those 2 points. McGrath attempting the second shot, and it rolls and then pops out and then pops back in. So she sinks it, and Johnstown sits 71-68. Another timeout was called, and we're going to go ahead and take 30 seconds with them. This is WFSC 88.9 Fighting Scott. Welcome back to all the action at Macomb Fieldhouse. I'm Sid Dunn to bring you all the play-by-play for this women's basketball game. The tension is heating up, and Erica beside me on color, I think she can feel it too. We are sitting 71 points. Pitt Johnstown 68. Edinboro with 30 seconds left on the clock. Edinboro has the ball, passed over to Jan. Jan with the ball with an attempted three-point shot, and it is no good, but it is rebounded by Jan, and she is knocked down in the process. There's a jump ball as tensions are running high. Another timeout has been called, as well as a foul, I believe, but I'm not quite sure, so I'll give you updated information on that. There's 17.6 seconds left in this game, and each team is fighting for all the points they can get. Johnstown wanting to remain on top, wanting to end their losing streak. Edinboro not wanting to end their winning streak. Edinboro wanting to stay on top, wanting to finish the game, wanting to put it together. I think there have just been a lot more turnovers that they haven't quite gotten control of, and especially layups. Something that I've noticed this game is there's been a lot of missed layups and easy opportunities. A little bit too hard, a little bit too soft, just not quite going in the rim as correctly as they would have wanted to. And then a couple too many fouls in this last quarter that have been sending Johnstown to the line and opening up the window for them to score more points.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. Burroughs, the fouls they had, they knew better. They knew better than to do it that close. I just think this next 17 seconds is going to be hectic.
Roston inbounding the ball for Burrow. Out to Walton. Walton attempting to jump in, but bobbling the ball and diving because number 4, Fisher, was on the ground and out of bounds. The ball will go towards Johnstown, but there's a little bit of deliberation occurring. And I believe another timeout has been called.
Yep.
And we're going to take 30 seconds with them. This is WFSC 88.9 Fighting Scots Radio.
And WFSC Fighting Scots Radio is available for live stream on the site, as well as archives of the morning after, It Won't Turn Off, and other great shows. Now is your home for the best coverage of all things happening on and near the campus of Edinboro University. So go ahead, check it out now, www.edinboronow.com.
Welcome back to Macomb Fieldhouse. The ball has just been passed in to number 3, Smith, for Gabrielle. And a foul has been called on Sierra Roston. Smith sinking that last free throw. Things are not looking good for the Scots as there are 12.8 seconds left in this game. Smith attempting her second. Score sits 72, Johnstown 68. Edinboro, and she sinks her second free throw. Edinboro will receive control of the ball. The score is 73, Pitt Johnstown 68. Edinboro. Schaefer inbounding the ball to Walton. Walton bringing the ball over the half-court line, attempting a three-point shot. It is no good. It is rebounded, but tipped out of bounds with 5 seconds left on the clock. Walton going to be inbounding the ball for Edinboro out to Roston. Roston attempting a three-point shot. It is no good. And Pitt Johnstown will hold it and end their losing streak. The final score remains 73 Pitt Johnstown, 68 Edinboro. I've been Sid. Erica, what do you have to say now that the final score is unveiled and the game has come to an end?
I mean, if I'm the coach there, if I'm the coach of Edinboro, I'm not too upset with my team because they went out, they played their best, but I am a little bit upset with some of those fouls. Like, you, as a player that's been playing this long, you know better than to make fouls like that in a close game like this. And unfortunately, I'm pretty sure the fouls are what cost them the game.
I agree. I've been Sid Dundon bringing you all the play-by-play action on this women's basketball game. Stay tuned as I bring you the same play-by-play action on the men's basketball game. Thank you, Erica Burkholder, for all the color commentary. Nathan's going to give you some music on the board as we change up and wait for the men's game to start. This has been 88.9 WFSC Fighting Scots Radio.